Welcome back. So this is especially a new version which I'm running on Windows 10 with 1809 featured. As you know that Microsoft 1809 as indeed they recall the version. I mean to see the release 1809 but they recall the version because of a lot of bugs. So now I'm gonna evaluate the features, how best we can how best we can check on it. Okay, as on date, whatever the features are there. So I have listed already things on my sheet. I'm gonna explain and see where are the features currently configured for Windows 10 1809. So this is a page which talks about 1809, what is new. So I'm going to talk for 1809 1803 as a combination. So basically the idea for this video is upgrade. If you are looking for an upgradation from 1709, which is a standard for many people, from 1709 to 1809, if you are planning, what are the things you are consider for as IT pro, and how best you can empower your users and go for most security wise. And also in other way, what are the features are there. Each feature will try to see where it is located. Okay, the first one is called your phone app. So this is an app related one. So what happens is, if you have if you go through this, what it explains is, if you have an Android phone or maybe iPhone, whatever the phone, okay, it doesn't matter, but that is fully synced with your device, which is Windows device. Let me take it to you. If I go to the my home, under my settings, like this, settings, okay, and then here under settings, phone, if you see here, if I can sign in here, I should be able to work directly on my photos, which are text messages, which are on my mobile. So another way, just to put it in a better way maybe, so you can work directly on your camera for photos which you have captured from your phone. So you don't need to send and receive photos as an email and then edit it. You can straightforward, you can work on it. That's the advantage, and this is something new with 1809, which is not there with 1709 or prior to the versions. Okay, so this is the first feature. Okay, and let's go to the other feature. This is wireless projection experience. This is something, if you try to do MSTSC and try to connect to the remote machines, okay, and then it's more say example, I've connected to my PC example. What happens is I get normally the version of the MSTSC bar. Let me see MSTSC. Let me show you. So here, once I connected, I get the minimize, maximize buttons with a full screen here, right? So that bar, whatever we are talking about, the bar is similar to that you will have when you're projecting your PC, okay, which is default. So the first option, which is your phone, is default, but you have to sign up and do the configuration. Okay, and for wireless projection, it is default. Very similar to this. Okay, this button is there, so you can project it and you can disconnect, similar to your RDP connection. Okay, so this is a second feature what we are talking about. Okay, let me. So in other way, you have three options. If you see here, game, productivity, video. So these things can be, when you go to the settings, and when you're trying to do this wireless projection, gives you different options. Like game means the minimize the screen to latency and make gaming over wireless connectivity possible. And video, it increases the screen to screen latency, and it ensures the video on the big screen plays back very smoothly. So it's very similar. You see, you have these tricks. If you people are working on a maybe a video, you know that how best we can stream, how best we can configure the remote desktop, so that user gets a very good experience. Similar kind of policies, instead of here instead of the policies, we can say that the options you have, you want a gaming experience, or you want a more video based experience, or productivity. That means balances between the game and productivity and gives you a best suitable one. So that's almost similar which we had earlier on when you try to use remote desktop. You have all these options. In fact, if I try to do MSTSZ, I have all these options, right? Say example, I have here options. These all the options, similar options I do have, but it's more a term based what they are giving you option. The next feature goes to Windows Autopilot self-deploying mode. Uh, you think about the autopilot, so that means it runs automatically, right? That kind of mechanism is now integrated with Windows, where Windows Autopilot self-deploying mode enables a zero-touch device provisioning experience. Means you don't need to add the machine to the domain, or you don't need to provision the Windows. It does automatically. So you simply power on and plug in, uh, and that's it. It configures your Ethernet device, Ethernet settings, and everything gets zero touch. So you think about the operating system deployment earlier. You have many of these settings to be configured. Those all settings are now, uh, I put it in this way, or self-service mode. So it's simply autopilot mode instead of self-service. I think the better word would be the autopilot, as per here, self-deploying mode. So that's where it does automatic self-deployment. Okay. Just to explain further on autopilot or self-deploying mode, this is something can be done with either Active Directory, which is called Azure Active Directory, or you can do it from Intune. So what happens is, normally, normally if you are trying to deploy any of the operating system deployment phases, you normally get I accept button, or maybe click on next to continue, or disable this, or further cancellation, go back, all those things. Now there was an manual interaction was required. Now nothing is required. It does automatic. That's called autopilot. It's nothing but the other way, self-deploying mode. So you may be thinking about what all the things can be done. Yeah, you can add the machine to the domain automatically, including it can be your Azure AD. So technically, to give you, not in depth, but technically what happens is, in either Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, you'll have a static AD groups, or maybe if you are thinking about say example, you have the power of Intune, you can go for Azure Active Directory and combination of Intune, where you create your profile for self-deployment groups or mode, and that does everything for you. Otherwise you have to do otherwise you have to add for static groups manually the devices, so that it gets deployed automatically. Further information at the high level, you can see here, which is Windows Autopilot self-deploying mode, which is still in a preview, but it still applies for the 1809, I would say. So these buttons, next is no more required. These OOB, that is out of box experience, OOB means, so which is not required now. Simply just continues further, and you can join the machines in either hybrid, or when I say hybrid, either Active Directory or Azure AD automatically with the combination. And for the step-by-step instruction, it was mentioned here for autopilot profiles to be creation, and also you need to have the TPM 2.0 as the pre-requirement, and at this point of time virtual machines are not supported even. That's into the a bit of giving an introduction for autopilot self-deployment mode. Next we'll jump into the kiosk setup experience. This is very useful if you're trying to work on specific applications. Let me come back to you on that. Now, coming back to kiosk setup experience, the most useful feature within this would be the kiosk related specific apps only can be accessed in other way. Say example, you have a build in your factory and they wanted to use only a specific application. Not You're not allowing them to use any other applications, but you are making sure that uh, they should use a specific application, and it should be automatically log in even the Windows account. So whenever they start the PC, it should go for digital authentication or automated login with allowing only one application. Think about, you build some application which required for factory to utilize whether that application, whether whether it's working fine or not. Maybe they want to visit the plant and that navigates everything, or it talks about your design or something else, maybe in your application that you wanted to allow everybody to use automatically in maybe employees leisure time, or maybe you're allowing somebody to test as a kiosk. So to do that, what you can do is, let me go back here to my test PC. I have to go to settings and just type kiosk. So you have something called kiosk setup. Simply getting started. Here, type your kiosk name. Say example, this is maybe a touch and feel of my app is my kiosk, which I'm trying to do in my factory example. So I need to type that. Then I have to choose my application. What is that I'm trying to allowing them. Say example, I want to allow my application called calculator only for them. So that's called a kiosk application. So when you use the control mode, say example, if I do again control del, I only get the touch and feel of my app as the user. I should be able to only use, say example, let me go back and do control del. I'm sorry, I have difficulties here to press control del, but I'll try my best to do that. Give me a minute. Or I can simply go here, sign out. Let's see what happens. So when I press control del, I need to get here other one as a kiosk so that I can log in and check only that specific kiosk user. Yeah, if you see that what happened is, since it's a preview, I'm also trying to test and learn. To be honest, not all the applications are compatible for your kiosk, so you need to uh, you should make sure that what applications are allowed for the kiosk. In my case, I have added calculator, but calculator is not your kiosk application anymore. So say example, if you go through these articles, okay, for example, if you're looking for a digital interactive signing, automated signing, the Edge is the most suitable one. Say example, Edge has different modules, in this case public browsing or private or normal mode of browsing. These are the things which can be assigned for the kiosk site. So in this case, instead of calculator, I can change and pick up my Edge. I should be able to get more information asking related to Edge related digital signing. See here, either you want to digital sign on an interactive display, your website will be full screen, and then enter the URL. Example, I'm opening google.com. Control del. When you are in kiosk, sorry, give me yeah. So that way, this is very. So now if you see, the once we have just finished that, and if I close this, I've added a search as the category for my kiosk info touch and feel of my app. So I simply go here and see I should be able to get touch and feel of my app. If I log in, this gets automatic sign in, you see this time, and I should be able to only get Edge with opening the google.com, in fact. And if I want to exit, I should press Ctrl Del. That's the options it is showing. Let me pause for a second to quickly to log in. It's almost there, so I just resumed. So I just clicked on once again, and let's see what happens. I'm getting Edge automatically opened in my screen with the full screen, and Google opening up automatically. So there's nothing I have done. I don't have a start button here, nothing mentioned here, okay, except the I'm just minimizing, trying to do control minus control plus to zoom the things. So it's a perfect one, even address bar also in hidden state. So this is how it works, the kiosk. Let me go back to my actual login and test further testing. The next most interesting feature would be the registry editor related improvement. Let me show you on my WinVer with the old version. See, if you see here, this has been 1803. So in 1803 till that you don't have this feature. Let me open my regedit. You may be prompted USC. Yeah. So normally if I want to browse the software example, I normally get here the address. Earlier, if you remember, in the olden days, you used to get in the down with this navigation, but you never get similar to the address bar. Okay, but however, this feature may be interested to copy, but not for writing. Say example, if I want to type as a backslash, and nothing is coming up as a drill down. Say example, I want to go to IBM, I need to type IBM and then hit enter, so it goes there. So whereas with the, let me minimize this, which is on 1803, and let me go back to my test VM, which is on 1809, and if I open my regedit, I should have the new implement. Of course, US is enabled. So now the software, post to the software, if I want to have something, if I when I type the backslash, now I get the drop down, very similar to your address bar history or address bar or maybe a file explorer. So now I put it in this way. Maybe you're trying to walk similar way to or it is easy for you another way to it's one of the great improvement for Registry Editor who somebody wants to navigate instead of more clicks. You can simply type the keyboard and give a backslash, it automatically gives. For example, software if I want, and then hit my then policy example, policies maybe like this, you can easily go. So this is one other interesting feature which we are talking about. Okay, the next interesting feature would be the biometric feature, which is enabled for remote desktop. Say example, I put it in this way because I do have a Surface Pro. Say I configure my Surface Pro with my face detection. Say example, if you're trying to do RDP to your Surface Pro where you activate your biometrics, say example, in that case you can simply type your MSTSE and then automatically it will ask you to press OK. Very similar icon will come up to identify your face with the 3D dimensions or whatever the mechanism it uses, and then it gets authenticated. So there's nothing changed to MSTSE exe, but the background, the mechanism it is try to authenticate with something called the Windows Hello for Business. It is it has integrated. See, if I try to show you, but again, this is also available with 2016 Hyper-V server. uh, this hello, called Windows Hello for Business in remote session, but must use your pin method. Say, let me give it a try here in my method mstc. I don't have here, if you see, I don't have anything extra changed by looking into this. When you compare with your old builds before 1809, but all this works when you have biometrics enabled with Windows Hello for Business for the remote sessions. So it's a feature where you can authenticate remotely. Also, biometric is enabled, which is interesting. All these days, you can only authenticate with your if you're physically available in front of the computer. Say example biometric, when I see maybe my fingerprint or my face detection, which was used to call as a biometric, which is only works with the physically if you're in front of the computer. But now this mechanism is changed where you can authenticate remotely also, not for biometric, not for um, fingerprint based, but I'm talking about face detection, all other Windows Hello for Business for remote desktops. That's another interesting feature which I couldn't test it here, but I'm sure if I get a chance to test it later point, I'll definitely post a video on that. Next one would be my security improvements. uh, to talk about security in 1809, there's a lot changed, really lot. I can try to consolidate with a short high level tech talk maybe on in this small video. There's a lot, in fact, the security improvements when compared with 1709 to 1809. First and foremost, we can see the virus and threat protection has been completely changed. Let's see, this is a normal screenshot of the 1809, but if I go with my early version, this is the screenshot. So the major difference would be, you see here, this is 1709 or 1803. I think this is 1803. So you see here ransomware protection is there, but you don't have a control on anything. What happens? Say example, you have a folder and there was a ransomware protection was missing to that folder. I mean to say, some application you intentionally install, but it is changing their folder structure to encrypt the behavior of ransomware protection. So what do you do in that situation? So what you do is you lose the control, even though. So to address that kind of scenario, you have now uh, lot to cover under 1809. Let me take it to straightforward. You see here, if I go here my 1809, I simply go to anti virus and threat protection. This is a new window. In fact, it has changed many things. You see here you have a managed ransomware protection, so you can enable the control folder access, and also this does the you can set up your files and protect folders, whatever the folders you want to protect from your, what we say, from ransomware. You can do that. Earlier these functionality was missing. In other way, if I'm correctly captured, the Microsoft design, these features were earlier there in OneDrive. Now they are starting to distribute for everyone, in fact. Okay, so this is the one of the feature which we are talking about. Let me put in a consolidated first, and then we can talk on about. One would be the security side BitLocker. So what happens to the BitLocker is, before 1803, I repeat again, 1803 before, you don't have control much on a BitLocker for out of the box to distribute. From 1809, there is a small hardware list of manufacturers certified BitLocker can be distributed. Now from 1809, this list has been increased as per Microsoft article. Let me go to that and show you. This one, okay, CSP we call it. So silent enforcement on a fixed drive can be improved. It was improved, in fact, and also Uber experience for the BitLocker, where you don't have a control earlier on what kind of encryption method you have to use while you're encrypting your drives in the out of the box experience. Now you have the full control with 1809, how best you can integrate. Okay, and with the this is what I'm talking, earlier, hardware security test interface, HSTI. This is completely new, and it was limited before 1803. Now it has been increased the scope, and you have a larger hardwares that are covered, in fact, with BitLocker related. So that's a short to the BitLocker. Let me go back to the another feature, Windows Defender Application Guard improvements. So Windows Defender has improved here with the 1809. In fact, if you are trying to isolate some of the applications, uh, you can very well do. For example, I want to isolate my browser related settings. You can very well do that from these screenshots. Let me go back to the 1809 and click on my app and browser control. In this, I can, I mean, I have a few of the options, like smart screen, where it does the smart screen has been increased or fully included now with browser related specific settings. Earlier also it was there, but it was limited. It just the no more, you don't have much scope. But here you have much scope to check your files and warn all those things. Now to tell you that, to explain more, for example, you are trying to work on some of the applications, you have an option to isolate that browsing experience so that the scope is very limited. Like now you have the group policies in Edge, where when you are isolated in your environment you are trying to work, you can cut, copy paste or print. All these things are completely disabled. These are the settings are for device or application guard side. This is something new with 1809, like isolation of the browsing, where what level you want to isolate, for example copy paste or print files. This can be managed, configured in 1809. Okay, and further to moving, app and browsing control. This is what isolating browsing over the application calls, copy paste print related to Edge. Now Windows Guard, Windows Defender Security Center is now something earlier, you called uh, Windows Defender Security Center. If I go to my 1809, I call it as Windows Defenders, uh, this one. Okay, I call it as, if you see here, Windows Defender Security Center. This is an 1809, but uh, now this is completely renamed as WSC, that is called Windows Security Center, because there's a large change in the background of security scope has increased, or they included different products, or they combined, in fact, the mechanism, the security. So let's have a look on Windows Security Center. So if I go back to my Windows Security Center, let me go back here. You see here, a Windows Defender thing has been changed to Windows Defender Firewall. All these, this is WSC. Now you have an option to do centrally all these features. Now edge scope has been increased with the other group policies, especially to the these are all these settings has been enabled, especially for the group policies. Earlier there were very few, but now these are the things has been added in October 2018. These are the settings for 2017, and these, in fact, these are available as the MDM part of solution, but the settings has been increased for Edge overall. To continue with other features within the Windows Security Center, as I said, this has been renamed from this name to this name. Okay, this is the name earlier, Defender Security, now to Windows Security Center, WSC. So this can be, if you go back to Windows 1809, this is 1809 build. So you see here, these are the all the security related features are at one place. For example, threat protection, as I talked about, ransomware. Here you can do virus protection, threat protection, and account protection, firewall settings. So something new in the firewall settings. Now you can configure Linux related applications, say example SSH or web server like Nginx. All these can be configured as part of your firewall, Defender firewall, just like any other Windows processor. Now let's talk about policies. In fact, we did a little bit on the edge policies, which are completely new in this October series, like allowing full screen mode, or these are the group policies can be configured. A set of policies can be configured through group policy, in fact. And coming to Windows Defender Credential Guard, this is completely new, and it's most secured one compared with previous methods. But this is supported to only two editions. One is Windows 10 S devices and Windows 10 Enterprise or Education editions. So what happens is, whatever the passwords you are storing in the under Defender Credential Guard, these things are more secure comparatively. Earlier one, the mechanism is because it runs as a service, in fact. So any of the malware cannot stolen, these are cannot be used as misused. Any of the passwords which are used by these users credentials or saved credentials in other way, or which are part of credentials guard. Okay, so this is something new, and devices that are also now joined in 80, also it will support Azure 80. Now let's have a look on it. Windows Pro 10s require a network connection when you're trying to do OOP, so out of the box experience. So this feature has been removed. Now skip a button. And the other big one, if you look at all these security point of things, has the background, the big baby would be, or big boy, you call it as a gained, whatever, it's nothing but your ATP. ATP is it's very less we can talk, but they do a lot. Let me go back to that. Okay, ATA, that means Advanced Threat Analytics, which is not free. If you're part of Microsoft Enterprise Agreement, it will be signed. Say example, in my recent experience with one of the um, company in US, in fact I can't name it, but they got attacked by ransomware and some other malwares, and they're trying to steal the data. So the first point was detected by ATA. What ATA does is, this has your artificial intelligence mechanism where it will check what kind of data is flowing in your network, whether anything sensitive data is going out, or any of the applications are misbehaving, or any of the server is um, abnormal, maybe. Okay, because it has the all the intelligent level of understanding capabilities, which are backend by Microsoft Advanced Threat Management, in fact. And they do work really deep level, and that's not free, in fact. Okay, so anyway, these all the malicious related attacks, or all those things can be first level. It will be analyzed in a ATA. So most of the companies, they do deploy this as part of enterprise agreement. If you are looking for to test this, you just go to ATA, that is called Advanced Threat Analytics, and you can contact your TAM to get this ATA evaluated. In fact, this is going to be in fact free, but you need to have certain agreement of licenses. Then you are eligible, because most of the people says that I'm more secure in terms of the Linux, but not on the Windows. Yes, you are maybe secured in Linux, but in Windows also it is secured, and it's more preventive method where you can analyze what kind of traffic is going, how the network is behaving, how the applications are behaving. If anything is abnormal, you can easily find out. So anyway, so these entire background has been now integrated with 1809 uh, in a different feature set altogether. Okay, that's called threat analytics. Also custom detection methods, all these things, which is Microsoft security service provider, all these things has been onboarded now with Windows 10 1809. In fact, uh, this is really interesting for me to at least work on 1809 build. Yeah, the next interesting feature would be the fast signing. Don't come to a conclusion that you can easily sign in very fast. In fact, you can easily sign in, but this is something related to the trust and all other options. Say example, you have a single machine which is already shared by other user and some other users. What happens is, instead of that, you can go and sign in with Windows 10 with a web-based. When I mean to see, you get this option. Okay, so when you click on this, this takes to a SAML authentication. You may be heard all these days. Um, from one forest to another forest. Initially, we used to have the trust relationships. Now, in the recent past, we have the federation services. Now, no more ADFS. You can join non-federated sign-ins with simple web login. So what happens is the machine should be joined in Azure AD. So that's one of the requirement, and then simply choose this web sign-in, and then the users can be signed in by authenticating to web-enabled sign-in policies. So this policy can be configured cloud service providers, CSPs, and then they can fastly log in. So this is another new feature, in fact, with the enable fast sign-in policy. Uh, Completely new. So what we have covered is, we covered a couple of features, not least, but the last one would be the wireless your phone app. We covered wireless projection, was similar to RDP settings, and then we covered auto provisioning self-deployment mode, where you don't need to press next. It does automatically provision to your Azure AD, including the domain joining. You have the kiosk experience, where specific applications only can be open, so it's completely isolated. If you're running in your factories or maybe a kiosk for test users, this is one wonderful feature, in fact. And Registry Editor, one of the favorite one. Say example, when you backslash, you get the similar to your Windows Explorer experience for registry browsing. And for RDP biometrics, all these days you use to enter your, in fact, the password, but your biometric, that's Windows Hello, can be used here for the authentication. However, you need to enter the pin mechanism at the end. But this is available facial detection method even over the RDP now, which is a new and security improvements. There is a lot changed. They've integrated a lot of improvements, or the feedback that they received from ATA, and integrated into security center. Earlier we used to call as different name, but now it's completely different. Okay, and BitLocker also one of the thing, it has been included here. And coming to next, settings isolation is available, apps, fast signing with Windows 10 with web signing. All these are new features. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. I'll cover 1803 also in a minute. I think I should conclude this video for 1809, and I should make 1803 as a separate video since it's been a lengthy one. Thanks for watching this.